Welcome to today's whiteboard moment. This is the last part 4 of 4, and we're going to talk about plugging in the economics. Even though this is a whiteboard moment, we won't actually cut away to the whiteboard today. It's not really required. So today, the areas of focus are the principal 8 financial numbers, managing and controlling your environment, lose versus win mentality, leveraging continuity programs, and the outcome is know your numbers and how they fit, controlling your environment for optimal profit, and don't run your business on hope. Rather, plan and identify and implement monthly continuity plans where possible. All right, so let's hop right in here and start talking about the economics of your business. This is so important that you're able to plug in the economics of your business for the most scalability that you can possibly get. Not to mention figuring in your top line revenue coming into your company, working that all the way down through its widgets to net profit, and ensuring that your company is achieving a net profit margin that makes sense. Okay, so let's talk about the principal 8 finances. Okay, so first of all, cash flow. Cash flow is so huge in every single business. It's important that you have the cash flow to scale, to grow, so on and so forth. And don't ever be afraid to use the OPM model, okay? Other people's money. Use the OPM model for cash flow as much as possible. If you have enough revenue coming into your company, cash flow repayment should never be a problem. And we talked about some of that before with, having good investors, having good lenders, so on and so forth, that can always cash flow your business and really give you that ability to leverage more. Now, net income, obviously, that's your takeaway. It's the takeaway for the company. What you can actually use to reinvest into the company, you can use that for payroll, so on, so forth. Next is your P&L. Okay, it's your number one responsibility as a CEO or an owner or president of a business to make sure you are managing that P&L to its utmost efficiency. Okay, it's your number one responsibility. You should look at it monthly and trim the fat off it where possible. Okay, I know in some of the other training we've talked about horror stories from P&Ls that where people just didn't manage them. I mean, I've talked with companies that are doing really good numbers and they're not even paying attention to their P&L. Okay, your P&L is your North Star. Trim it and keep it's like a hedge. If you don't trim it, it'll grow out of control. A P&L is the same thing. If you don't control that P&L, all of a sudden your expenses start to grow and you're not keeping track of it and you're not trimming where necessary. Okay. Next is sales. Okay. You should know your sales by the numbers daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Know your numbers. Have a sales dashboard that's available to you that you can pull up daily and look at what your sales were for that day, for the week, for the month, for the year. Okay. This helps you plan for further growth and scale in your company. Okay. Price point. Okay. You don't want to be the plumber. Okay, we talked about the plumber story. If you don't remember the plumber story, I'll tell it to you real quick. I worked with a client. He ran a plumbing company, been in business for quite a few years, and he was selling one of his product lines. Obviously, was installing hot water heaters. Well, by the time we'd stripped all of his numbers down on that particular install of that item, he was actually going in the hole every single month on that install of that item. So I simply, what we did was we hopped on the phone, we called for price quotes of his nearest competitors, and we literally found out he was undercutting his competition by well over $1,000 a month. So all we did was raised his price points under his competitors, under the competitors by a few $100 because he wanted to beat his competitors. And now he was now turning a profit of $900 to $1,000 on each install. Okay, so know the price points of your product, know the competition, and know how those price points strip out to net. Okay, gross margins, you always want to be improving your gross margins where you can. Okay, gross profit, that's less the cost of the sale. Okay, nothing to do with operating cost. That's your COGS. Okay, depending on what industry you're in. If you're in a physical product, if you're selling a physical widget, that's more of a COGS. If you're more the online in the info space or something like that, it's more of a cost of sale. Okay, so you have to kind of look at those a little bit differently. Total inventory again depends on what model you're in, but you should be planning on that through quarters, having that inventory. I can tell you that many companies have made the mistake not tracking the economy and where it's going, and then all of a sudden they run out of inventory, so they don't have quarters of inventory at a time. So make sure you're planning for that. This way, if a particular vendor, manufacturer, or something like that goes down, at least you have time to pivot and look for a new manufacturer, wholesaler, and you have a quarter's worth of product. Okay. Okay, so manage and control your environment. Okay, so correct controls are very important. How do we control an environment in a company? Well, you have a couple of different sides of that. You have the environment of the employees, if you have employees, and then you have really the environment of process, procedure, so on and so forth. Okay, you have to control both. Okay, so on the employee side, we look at more of the controls of, what is that culture like in the company, okay, and control that culture. And then on the process procedure side, those are the rules and guiding principles that you've put in place for your company that you want to make sure support that culture and control within your company. Okay, cash reserves, really, really important to have good cash reserves. We talked about that in one of the main training sessions about having those reserved coffers. And that kind of skipping to the bottom bullet is be a responsible CEO. Okay, be cash healthy. Okay, to have those reserves set aside for those bad months. Okay, manage your metrics. Metrics are very important. Okay, what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets improved, right? So we want to focus on managing those metrics to improve them, whether that's we can get better manufacturing rates, maybe we can find a different wholesaler that's cheaper, and then looking at those metrics to support the life cycle of the business. Okay, now don't let your controls control you. All right. It's very important that, you maintain the finger on the pulse to control everything within your company. Be that, your cash management, your metrics, your employees, your processes and procedures, so on and so forth. Okay. Don't let that control you. Control it directly. All right. Now that doesn't mean you do everything. That just means you are the final approval. Okay. Now let's talk about lose versus win mentality. Okay. Lose. I call that like the lotto. Okay. Hope. Okay. A lot of businesses when they start, or even at moderate phases of business, they run the business on hope. Okay, they hope something is going to work out. Even a lot of the bigger businesses will launch a new product line, so on and so forth, and they'll hope it's going to work out. Okay, instead of doing that, let's have a win mentality and do things that are calculated and planned. Here's an example. When it comes, I'll use the info marketing world as a great example for this. Okay, many people that create products they'll create a product, launch it, and hope that it sells in the marketplace. Instead of doing it that way, okay, which is oftentimes a lose, okay, because we don't know if the market wants that product. The better way, the win calculated and planned, is a pre-launch. Pre-launch that product with the outline of the product, what it is, so on and so forth. It's a video course on XYZ, blah, blah, blah. But you haven't even done the work yet. Okay, it's a pre-launch for the first couple hundred people. They get a great price for the product to be released 30 days later. Okay, you get 100 people that buy it, then we know the market will bear it to a certain degree. Now create the product, deliver the product to those 100, get your feedback, and then launch large scale. Okay, that's calculated and planned. Okay, and that's a good advertising example too. Okay, so we launch that product and then advertise it to grow and scale it. Okay. All right, next is continuity programs. I love continuity programs. I am a huge fan of continuity programs because they pay over and over and over, time and time again on autopilot. Now, obviously, most continuity problems can have, their challenges for churn, so on and so forth, but that's okay. All right, because that's just going to happen. You're always going to continue to market to that continuity program, no matter what, to replace churn. Okay, so you can offer a monthly continuity depending on what your business is. In the like info world, coaching world, continuity programs are huge. But even in the outside service world, like plumbing companies, so on and so forth, they have continuity programs too. They're just yearly continuity programs to do very specific things. Okay, so maybe it's a service of one appliance in your home for free every year, and you're part of the XYZ care plan. Okay, but it's a way to get a continuity program up and running, making that additional money on autopilot. Now, you have to really look at price points for this. Look at what your competitors are doing in the space that you're in, and ensure you are not pricing yourself outside the market space. Okay, that's really important. And then coupling that with layered upsell. Here's two examples. One would be in the info world or the e-commerce world is product sells. Immediately after that is a bump for another product. Okay, we talked about that in some of the other training. In the physical world, we'll use that same plumbing company as an example. They do a free 21-point inspection when they come to your home. Okay, most people don't look at it as an upsell, but it is because they came to your home to replace your water heater, but now they found these other things, right? Now they're going to say, "We're here. Shall we fix those things too?" Because they could cause damage to your home. That's a layered upsell. And of course, as a homeowner, you're going to say, "Well, yeah, I don't want my house ruined. So yes, fix the problem." So continuity programs are really, really huge. Okay, so just to kind of review, the economics part of any business is really, really huge. Okay, so take away a couple of little nuggets when it comes to looking at how you can economically run your business as lean as possible. And I will tell you right now, your number one document for you to do that is going to be your P&L every single month. Okay, if you do that, and you manage that and trim it and keep it healthy every single month, you will find that your business will profit and grow. All right, let's do this quick speed exercise. Okay, you have 1 minute to do it. Don't think about it too much. I just really want you to take the time and list the top 3 metrics that are most important daily to you and track it. Okay, and list your quarterly set aside numbers, your reserves. List what those are going to be. It's going to be X for this, X for that, X for this. Okay, so take the time to do this. That way, you're identifying these things. It's important to have those set aside reserves for those, downtimes in business. I call it a war chest. Okay, have your war chest, have your coffers full to have enough money to get yourself through, 2 or 3 bad months if possible. It's great if you could have it for a quarter, or it's great if you can have it for a year. But if you can at least do it for 1 quarter and keep your company afloat, that's a beautiful way to do business. Okay, so take the time, do this little speed exercise, and I hope this helps a lot. We'll see you on the next video.